Give everyone a second here to file in. Thanks everyone for joining. We'll give everyone another minute here to join, and then we'll get started. Everyone's filing in quickly today. Everyone's been prompt. This is awesome. Perfect. Well, we already seem to have a critical mass of attendees, so why don't we get started? My name's Rob Burnett. Thanks everyone for joining us today for a live Q&A with BitMovio, currently live and raising capital on netcapital.com. I have with us today Simon and Jerry of BitMovio. Thanks guys for joining us.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
So just so everyone knows who's attending, I'll be asking BitMovio a series of questions, trying to kind of understand better the business and dig into what the investment opportunity is. For anyone who's calling in or listening on their computers, there's a Q&A function down at the bottom of your screen. If you have any questions for either of these guys, please feel free to type in your answer or your question, and I'll ask it kind of as appropriate throughout the course of the webinar. So with that, again, guys, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Why don't we start with, do you guys just want to give us an overview of the company? What is BitMovio? What do you do?
Yeah, sure. Sounds good. Hello, everyone. This is Simon Zhu, CEO and co-founder of BitMovio. So BitMovio is sort of a new decentralized YouTube and Patreon-like platform that specifically reward users and content creators for their attention and also engagement. So our business model is a freemium business model. Also, we offer the gamified incentives that are relevant to the Fortnite generation, which are centered around our own in-platform watch currency movies. Officially, we founded the company in the summer of 2018 at the Play Labs Accelerator at MIT. So we launched our open beta web and mobile app products towards the end of Q1 2019, and also released a very innovative watch and M feature towards the end of September 2019. So far, we have actually gained quite a lot of traction. So we have over 55,000 registered users, growing from around 5,000 in September last year, right before we launched the Watch and feature. That is over 100% growth month over month, and it is all organic. So on a daily basis right now, we have about 1,000 new users, new signed up users every day. So we anticipate our user will grow to about 100K by the end of Q1, 250,000 by the end of Q2, and we are hoping to grow our user base to about 1 million by the end of this year. In terms of content creators, we also have quite a lot of traction as well. We have onboarded over 7,000 hours of content from over 1,000 creators worldwide, which also are growing organically 3 to 5% every day. So besides of all of the traction between the users, also the creators, we have actually also signed up quite a lot of partners to further growing the growth. For example, we are right now integrating with the CETA networks, which is a decentralized CDN network, which have about a 5 million plus community. And also the Reason, which is based in Singapore, they have about 80 million plus esports fans. Also, this year, one of the exciting things, we're also part of the innovation program at the Singapore Management University, which is going to be our base for the Southeast Asia expansion.
That's great. I'd love to follow up on a couple of different things you said there. The first is, you mentioned that you were at the MIT Play Labs. That's MIT in Massachusetts, correct?
Right, correct. Yes, yes.
How did you get into that program?
Oh yeah, actually, yes, because one of my co-founder, Riz Vok, he's also like an early MIT graduate, started a lot of our companies before. Also have a very close collaboration with MIT Gaming Labs. Actually, he runs the accelerator every summer, right? And also, I think one of the main thing of the Play Labs accelerator is on the gamified concepts, right? So for example, like the mobile games, esports, also a blockchain, virtual currency. So for us, also it's sort of a video entertainment, but it's in the intersection of gamification and video entertainment, right, with the virtual currency, cryptocurrency. So that is a perfect match for the accelerator. We spent about 10 weeks in the summer of 2018. I definitely have a huge amount of experience to interact with the fellow entrepreneurs, also with the faculties at the game labs and the media labs at MIT.
Very good. Oh, sorry, we do have a comment, maybe asking you to slow down a little bit. You talk, maybe we can,
okay.
that can help a little bit.
Okay, sounds good.
I know it's very exciting to
Yeah.
to talk to everyone about what we're talking about here.
Yeah, yeah.
My next follow-up would be, you mentioned the kind of Fortnite generation. Do you want to kind of explain a little bit more what you mean by that?
Oh, yeah, sure. Maybe I can just start. Maybe Jerry can chip in as well. So for the Fortnite generation, mostly it's for the younger generation who are interested in game, who grew up by playing the social connected games, right? Like the first play the shooting games. I think one of the core commonalities among those generations is that they're very, very socially connected. Right? They want to sort of like connect with each other, express their opinions, their ideas. Also, they are into sort of like a gamified incentives. So, for example, some of the core things of in Fortnite is they have their own virtual currency, the V-Buck, right? So people can earn V-Buck by playing the games. Also, they can like to upgrade their own, express their own personalities by using the V-Buck to purchase the equipment. So that's sort of the experience we try to embed into the BitMovio platform. So, I don't know for Jerry, do you have anything to comment?
Sure. Yes. Hi, I'm Jerry. Another co-founder of the background in media and entertainment. I've worked for companies like Netflix and Amazon as a content licensing executive, and also for CBS and Endemol and other content owners, distributing the content out to digital platforms. So I've kind of seen streaming evolve, different business models come and go, and think this sort of gamified approach is really the next wave of kind of what we've seen thus far from YouTube and Twitch. To answer the question on Fortnite, I mean, what Simon mentioned is all correct. You have a generation that's used to interacting and viewing content in a very different way from older generations, in the sense that they're constantly involved, they're constantly trying to interact directly with creators to the extent that's possible. The commenting process itself, in some ways, has become more of an entertainment feature than the video stream in some instances. So things like microtransactions based content and tipping and gifting, and earning rewards for taking action are second nature to them. This isn't new. This isn't something that's really all that innovative from their perspective, and in certain territories in Asia, it's been around for a very, very long time. So we think it's coming to video streaming in a big way. The dominant companies that run most of what we know in subscription and ad-based platforms have dominant positions. They're slow to move. There are a lot of legacy media companies in there that are just trying to get their heads around direct-to-consumer businesses for the first time. So we think we're well positioned to kind of take advantage of this new freemium lane that's going to open up in streaming video, and we think the Fortnite generation is really going to be the pioneers of that going forward.
Very cool. So you started giving us a little bit of background, but this might be a good time to transition into the team for a second. Can you guys talk to us about the team you've built around BitMovio, their backgrounds, and why you guys think you're the team that's built for success?
Yeah, sure. I will start off. So actually, you're exactly right. We have put together a very strong team with a combined experience of like in a variety of different fields like technology, media, content, blockchain, gaming, etc. Also, with quite a lot of successful exits in M&As and IPOs. So for me, I was a technologist in training. So actually, at the beginning of my career, I worked as an engineer, scientist for almost 5 years in the telecommunication industry, before moving to the Silicon Valley to get my MBA from Stanford University. So after Stanford, actually, I joined a media tech startup called Mobile Group. As now executive board director, was the senior vice president of product management, where I directly worked with almost all of the major film studios like Disney, Warner Brothers, some of the major TV networks like Welcome, HBO, TVB in Hong Kong, and also TV Asahi in Japan, also a lot of the YouTube networks. So for the company, actually, I helped the company win an Emmy Award in technology in 2017. Also, I helped the company to lead the IPO process to get the company listed in the main board of Hong Kong Stock Exchange in early 2018. And then 6 months afterwards, then I teamed up with Jerry and my other co-founder, Riz Work, together with a few factories at Stanford to found the company BitMovio. So maybe Jerry can also talk a little bit more about your background.
Yeah, no, I don't want to belabor it. I'm going to mention some of it, but I've spent most of my career in digital media. Also went to Stanford for my MBA, but since then spent most of my time in digital media. I've worked on the kind of business development, distribution, licensing side for companies like Netflix and Amazon. I consulted for Twitch several years ago as I began to expand beyond esports content. So I've just been in the space a very long time, and I'm interested in it. I'm interested in the evolution of video streaming and consumption. And, I think what we're building is really at the forefront of that.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, and also we have a third co-founder, but unfortunately he is not able to join the call. So his name is Riz Volk, is our chief strategy officer as well. Actually, he is a serial entrepreneur and he runs the MIT Play Labs Accelerator. So he actually previously was on the founding team of a lot of successful companies like Theta Labs, which is the creator of the Theta token, the Theta protocol, the Game V Studio, and also Tapjoy, which is one of the major leading mobile ad network. Right? He was also an early investor in many gaming companies before. So he has because he's an expert in the gaming technologies. Some of his games include Tapfish, which have over 50 million downloads, and some of them games from popular TV shows like Penny Dreadful Green. Actually, besides of that, some very interesting things about Riz is also he's an independent film producer in sci-fi horror paranormal genre, which is a fit with BitMovio scene very well. So besides of the co-founding team, we have a very well-known extended advisory team, including a double Oscar-winning film director, Professor Bill Greentek, the former head of R&D from NBC Universal, also the former head of engineering from Coinbase, which has been super helpful for us from the beginning of the company.
That's great. And so, we talked a little bit about the product and the team. Let's go take a step back for a second. And what's the problem that you guys are trying to solve with everything you've put together so far?
Right. Yeah, I think earlier you asked a very good question about what is the characteristics of the Fortnite generation, right? And also Jerry gave a great answer. Because that's exactly the problem we want to tackle. Because we know just to see from the Fortnite generation, we know that the digital media consumer behavior is evolving towards the experience economy. Right, which is actually like the free-to-play games. Actually, they right now capture over 80% of all of the digital game revenue. Now, of course, also the virtual currency, the social community, also for the gamified incentives are those additional elements that make the games like Fortnite so popular. But if we take a look at the digital media landscape, especially for the digital video streaming, actually everybody is moving in the opposite direction. For example, for the subscription service like Netflix, they have removed all of the user comments. Also, they never release any viewership data. Then for the other lane, like the advertising-based platforms like YouTube, they all of a sudden they change their term of service. So they have the power to remove any content or ban any user solely based on the commercial reasons. And of course, they also start to demonetize channels, or they start to censor channels for those independent creators. Now, of course, also when almost everybody is focusing on original content production, right, from the big ones to the smaller ones. That's why it's more and more harder for the individual content creators to have their content be discovered or published and engage with the fan base with limited commercial support. Then at BitMovio, actually our mission is to bring those gamified style, like the gamified experience to the video entertainment ecosystem so that we can create a more balanced ecosystem to make sure the users and the content creators have the equal power to participate in the video content ecosystem. Those who want to fairly compensate the value and attention, as long as they make a contribution to the overall ecosystem.
And so how does a platform like BitMovio, I know you were just kind of getting into it, but how does it differ from something like a YouTube?
Yeah, good question. Maybe Jerry can take it.
Yeah, I'll take it. So there's, it's similar in some ways, but from the user's perspective, we're offering substantially more interactivity, right? So users can engage directly with content creators, tipping and gifting them. Because of MoviBits, because of our virtual currency, that enables us to do more interesting things as it relates to specific pieces of content and ways they can interact with those creators. Which YouTube doesn't have. And really on the creator side, it's a number of things. I mean, Simon referenced the kind of censorship editorial piece, which I think is becoming increasingly a problem for entire categories of content on YouTube and content creators. And we're hearing that increasingly from our partners of their challenges of working with YouTube. It's the challenges of working with any centralized platform with that degree of control. So they're frustrated with the platform from a censorship standpoint. Also, Simon mentioned they get very little feedback in terms of what's working, what isn't with their content. They're not getting performance data back. Obviously, YouTube, Google is using that for its own purposes. YouTube's not alone in that. Most of the successful streaming platforms today out there don't feed a lot of data back to their creators, and that's intentional. And we think there's an opportunity to be more transparent there. And finally, I mean, on a kind of per creator, per unit basis, we offer better economics. So we're paying better revenue shares to content creators on the platform than YouTube is. And we just think in some ways, YouTube's miscalculations with their business in a lot of respects created opportunities for us to enter the space.
Great. And we've got a couple of questions coming in from the crowd. So maybe this is a good time to look at some of those. Okay, one kind of long-winded question. I'll get through it. So very impressive journey that you're embarking on. Awesome. How can we help you on this journey with getting the word out? I'll start with that. There's a couple of different parts to this question, but how can viewers help get the word out?
Yeah, I think one simple thing is just help us to, for example, to promote among your social media followers. So right now, actually, we have built quite a large social community, like from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, also on the Telegram, also on media as well. So definitely, I think one good thing is because we try to grow our adoption as further as we can. So just help us to get the word out among your social community. And also another thing is also right now we're also in the fundraising mode on Netcapital. Also, if you can also help to get the word out by either to participate as little as $100 or among the community, I think that would be great for us to get additional resources to build the platform, also to grow our user bases.
Great. And then a couple of kind of follow-ups about YouTube. So with YouTube restricting content and demonetization, where can you own a part of the market? And then what's the % difference on what a creator makes on YouTube versus YouTube? And do you see as YouTube reacting to BitMovio?
I can take some of that. I'll take it in a different order, but on the economics, I mean, YouTube differs. I mean, depending on kind of your level of standing within the YouTube ecosystem, but their base deal is that creators get 55% and we pay 80. So already it's a significantly better deal, for creators to work with us. We've seen one example of a category that's really been penalized by YouTube of late is a sort of paranormal UFO content creator category, which is a huge category. In general, it's worked on many different platforms. You think about a show like Ancient Aliens, which has been on cable for about 15 years here in the US. YouTube has just sort of unilaterally decided that that falls under the rubric of fake news. And, all those creators have been, if not censored, they've been demonetized and they've lost their ability to earn any revenue from their content and their audiences, which in some cases are pretty substantial. So we've had some success working with them, bring them over to BitMovio and kind of cultivating an experience for them on there. And from our perspective, we're not really that concerned about what YouTube may or may not do yet. I mean, we're still in the early stages, but it'll certainly be a good problem to have if they take notice, and if nothing else, maybe redirect some of their focus towards building a better experience for their ecosystem.
Great. And I think this user finished up with just they think you're on an incredible journey, and they're looking forward to helping you out, I think. So that's great.
Awesome.
Great.
And
awesome. Thank you.
The next question from an attendee was, let's see, can the virtual currency be converted back into US dollars? And how does BitMovio deal with the regulations around being a money transmitter?
Oh yeah, that's actually a great question. So right now for the virtual currency, like for the mobiles, right? So we have stricter rules on how to convert those back to the fiat currency. It's just similar to YouTube or Twitch, right? Actually for Twitch, they have the Twitch piece as well. This actually we only allow approved content creator to convert the movies into fiat currency as their earnings, right? For the regular users, they can earn movies. Also, they can purchase movies through credit card, debit cards. Also, in the future, once we integrate with the Razer Gold fintech solution with over 80 million plus fans worldwide, they can also convert like the Razer points into movies. That's like a very big esports community. Then they can use those movies to tip content creator to purchase premium content, right? So that's why for the regular user, they are not allowed to convert back into fiat currency. But then for the creators, if they provide us with all of like the KYC of the documents, the text documents, then they can convert back their earnings into fiat currency, just as the earning process.
Great. And then for now, at least one other question from a viewer. Are there any plans to allow 360 and VR content?
That's a great question. I would say it will be in the future, but right now it's not our core focus because it's just like in terms of the popularity with 360 and VR content is not it hasn't been on a mass scale yet. But we'll definitely keep it on that, and then we'll support those type of content whenever there's a big demand from the users.
Great. And so I know we covered it a little bit when we talked about the virtual currency, but just to cycle back for a second, can you talk a little bit about kind of BitMovio's business model and how it makes money?
Yeah. So Jerry, do you want to take it? Or?
Yeah, I can take it. I'm sure.
Okay.
So I mentioned the 80%. So we're taking kind of 20% at a base level of all sources of revenue. And again, it could be ads, it could be transactions for particular pieces of content. Could be subscriptions. Again, we give the creator a lot of control in terms of what business model works for their content. And on the consumer side of the business, we're taking 20% of that revenue. And Simon may address this further, but as part of our business, also we have a white label solution that we've been in some discussions with other content owners, larger owners of rights who are interested in pursuing a direct-to-consumer strategy of some sort. They either don't have the technology in-house to do so, or existing alternatives in market are geared specifically towards subscription only or ad-supported only or some hybrid, but aren't really robust enough to capture what they think will work for their audience, which again is in line with something like the more microtransaction based experience we're talking about with millennials and Gen Z around Fortnite. So we've been in some discussions, and we'll continue to build out that business. We think there's a viable path there to work with companies and helping them build out the direct consumer presence, and there'll be a business model attached to that as well. But that's still a work in progress.
Great. And so talk to me a little bit about, I think you mentioned it in the introduction, but what's the progress of BitMovio so far? Talk to me a little bit kind of how many users, how much content, where's the company today?
Okay, awesome. So I will start off. So yeah, definitely, I think in the last year or so since we started the company, I think actually we have definitely made a lot of progress with the limited amount of resources we have. Definitely, it's very, very capital efficient. So we actually have launched our innovative watch and feature in our open beta platform towards the end of September. And afterwards, I've gained quite significant traction among both the content creator and also for the user community. So far, as of today, we have over 55,000 registered users, which is growing from about like 5,000 back in September last year, which is about 100% growth month over month, and which is all organic. Right? Then again, our goal is to grow the user base by 100K by the end of Q1, a quarter million by the end of Q2, and also 1 million users by the end of this year at least. But I think that can further be fuel the growth with a lot of partnerships that we are going to implement. So that actually also tie in a few of our major milestones moving forward, right? So I think one thing I mentioned earlier is right now we are in the process of integrating with the Theta networks, right? Actually, we have just completed the development. Right now we're in the QA stage, so it will be released in the next week or so whenever we pass the QA, and afterwards we can do the cross promotion and to tap into their 5 million plus community. And also right now, we're in the process of integrating with the Razer Gold fintech solution as well. That's probably the largest esports brand worldwide right now, with over 80 million plus users worldwide. Then another thing also Jerry mentioned is in terms of the future opportunities, also in terms of white label solution, also have made quite a lot of progress to discuss with some of the major kind of partners just to flesh out our gamified infrastructure to power a few kind of verticals that are somehow have a unique specific brand that works with the younger Fortnite generation. So those are like for the user and also for the partnership. Maybe Jerry can talk a little bit more about the content.
Yeah, I mean, on content side, you were really focused on principally on individual streamers. Again, the categories we mentioned that either have some frustration with YouTube and the existing solutions, or are just looking for incremental revenue opportunities, looking to build audience off platform. So, we have over 1,000 individual channels and streamers now, which is great, and that's what Simon referred to as growing, on a daily basis in the 5% range, which is phenomenal. But we've also struck partnerships with larger content owners like World Poker Tour, Endemol Shine, which has a bunch of reality TV shows, principally Gunpowder and Sky, which is a big producer of films, mostly sci-fi thriller short films, and some others. And we'll continue to do deals. Young Turks is another one. We'll continue to do deals with Hollywood, and there are big. Those who are not exclusively doing direct-to-consumer are always looking for ways to license their content, find incremental revenue opportunities. So, we're in discussion with many of them now. But really, the individual streamers are the ones who will, with their audiences, with the content they're distributing on our platform, and with the way they engage with all the elements, movie bits, and et cetera. That's really our principal focus, and we're hoping to grow that to 10,000 and beyond within the year.
Great. One more question from an attendee. What is the Razor fintech solution you've been mentioning? And can you clarify what that is?
Yes, actually, that's a great question. Actually, I think that's definitely a very, very exciting partnership. Also, they are headquartered in Singapore. They have a huge amount of network, especially in the emerging economy. So what it means is that right now, for the typical fintech solution, like a credit card, debit card, people can use credit card, debit card to buy commerce, right, including the virtual currency. But we know for a lot of those developing economy, for the credit card, debit card, actually they are not that common. But then still people can use, everybody have a mobile phone, like they have a mobile carrier. Also they have sort of in the local store, like the point card system. So Razor have just launched their fintech solution, I think probably a year and 2 years ago, because before that solely focused on the esports equipment and also for the solutions. So for the fintech solution, what they did is that they provide a very effective means for their over 80 million plus users to use those offline solutions or use their carriers to quickly top up their Razor points, right? And then of course with the Razor points integration, then they can easily convert into the mobile-based virtual currency. So in that case, then, which means that once we integrate with the Razor Gold, then they also do the cross promotion among the 80 plus million users. And then every single user, since they already have the Razor points system, then they can directly use the BitMovio ecosystem that convert into mobile bits and to tipping, gifting, or all of those sort of engagement on the platform. So there's a seamless integration among the 80 million plus community. Now, of course, another thing is also because for Razor right now, I think that brand is uniquely situated in the esports community with a lot of those esports tournaments and also for the esports personalities as well. Also, that will be part of the agreement is also they're going to use those sort of community to help to promote BitMovio, because also esports and gaming content is also one of the core verticals we're focusing.
Great. We just got one more question in from the crowd. Can Movi bits be converted back into Razor points and then back into fiat currency?
Great question. So right now, just for the second part, Movi bits can be converted into fiat currency, but that's only for approved content creators, right? It's because of, as earlier you mentioned, of the regulations, right? So in terms of the Razor points, so right now, of course, for the Razor points, they can convert it into Movi bits, but in terms of whether we can convert it back into Razor points, that will be a discussion we'll have with the Razor team. Actually, I'm going to be in Singapore next week and I'm going to meet with them again. That can be fleshed out moving forward. But the key thing is that because right now Razor, they are really pushing their fintech solution, and we're one of the very, very early partners partners for them, specifically in the video streaming side, always like the innovative movies virtual currency. Not many other streaming sites have those type of solution. That's why it's a very, very good strategic partner for them. So definitely we can work out a lot of innovative things together moving forward.
Great. And as we look ahead, how do you guys, where do you see BitMovio in the next kind of 3 to 5 years, and what do you see as a potential exit for investors?
Okay, so I will also tackle this question. So just in general, what's like the potential exit? I think I will have to take a big picture on how the media and entertainment ecosystem is evolving. So right now, everybody knows, especially in the US, the streaming was going on predominantly in the subscription model, also for the advertising model. There are quite a few major M&As happened in the last couple of years that have really shaped the ecosystem. For example, Disney spent over almost $4 billion acquired the BAMTech to power the Disney Plus streaming ecosystem. Then Welcome spent almost $400 million to acquire Proto TV to power their free advertising model. And of course, the WME, which is the leading talent agency, spent about $250 million and acquired New Line, a streaming platform, to position its own video streaming ecosystem. Right? Then that's how like the streaming ecosystem is doing. And of course, also earlier, I think Jerry also did a very good summary on how the future of video entertainment is going. And we believe BitMovio's gaming-fed entertainment model, together with the in-platform virtual currency, will be the future of video entertainment. Right. So it will either be as a standalone business, or it could be become a very, very good acquisition target 3 to 5 years down the road. Whenever a traditional telco company or a traditional media company, they are building their next generation streaming services to reach the next generation. Then for the BitMovio's solution, will be a very, very attractive solution for them. And we have already demonstrated our success by then. Right?
Great. Well, we're coming towards the end of our prepared questions. If any participants have any other questions, please feel free to kind of write them in now. Otherwise, Simon, Jerry, thanks for joining us. Any kind of final thoughts for the attendees before we wrap up?
Well, again, from my side, thanks a lot for joining the webinar. Now, again, really, I would appreciate greatly if you can help to spread the word out of BitMovio through social media channels from your friends. Also, again, right now we are actively fundraising on Netcapital for the crowdfunding. So anyone, your friends with as little as $100, you can be part of the journey to help redefine the video entertainment ecosystem.
Great. Well, I think that's all we've got for now. As Simon said, BitMovio is currently live on Netcapital. You can find the link to their page on our site in the invite to this webinar. I'm also going to right now put it in the chat function. Thanks everyone for joining today. We really appreciate you taking the time. Let me put this in the chat so anyone can go and invest in BitMovio through the link in the chat function. And if anyone has additional questions, it looks like we have one more coming in. We have one more coming in right at the end here. Why use Netcapital instead of a traditional VC?
Great question. Actually, because one of the key success to BitMovio is community and ambassador support. So of course, we'll continue to engage with VCs, but then we thought that for anyone, if you can own a certain percentage of shares of BitMovio, then you can become our best advocates and also for ambassadors to promote BitMovio among your community. And actually, whenever we build a big enough community and ambassadors, which means BitMovio will be successful. So we will really first of all for like capital for the crowdfunding, but also the more important thing is to gain ambassadors to the platform, to the solutions.
Great. Well, hopefully, everyone on the call can be ambassadors for BitMovio.
Yeah. Awesome.
Again, thanks everyone for joining. Thanks Simon and Jerry for taking the time. And if anyone has any questions about Netcapital, they're welcome to reach out to Netcapital directly. And if anyone has additional questions for BitMovio, there's a discussion board on their Netcapital page, and you can feel free to post questions there. All right, guys. We appreciate you taking the time.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob.
Thanks,
guys.
Take care.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.